In the news tonight, more prison inmates pardoned by State Chief Judge Justice Umadi at Agwata prisons. Review meeting on budget performance ends in Awka with emphasis on accountability, efficiency, and productivity. Code of Conduct Tribunal suspends indefinitely CJN Onoren's trial. U.S. Taliban peace talks to continue with date fixed for February 25. Good evening and thanks for joining us on ABS Television News. I am Franklin Onyekachi. Now on the news in details. The State Chief Judge, Justice Peter Umadi, has granted bail to 13 inmates that have stayed between 3 months to 5 years awaiting trial at the Agwata prisons in continuation of the first quarter of his 2019 jail delivery exercise. Correspondent Emmanuel Okonkwo tells us more.
13 inmates that regained their freedom. 2 were underage and between the ages of 12 and 14, charged for stealing of his master's money and for kidnap-related issue, respectively. In his speech, Justice Umadi commended the lawyers, magistrates, the police, Directorate of Public Prosecution, and prison officials who were present at the court session for their cooperation, which he noted has enabled the actualization of the primary aim of the exercise. He said gives voice to the voiceless and decongesting the prisons. While handling juvenile cases, the Chief Judge reminded prisons officials that prisons are not meant for the underage as it poses enormous danger on their future and destinies. Justice Umadi further cautioned those in charge of bail against collection of bail bond, describing the act as illegal and criminal act. According to him, bail bond are not meant to be paid.
The regular pattern mention of cases, especially in order of seniority and profession warrants, then we end this exercise without making any meaning to those for whom they are intended. Because of that, we had to revise it, say that we come here.
In an interview, the State Controller of Prisons, Barrister Emmanuel Wakeze, charged those that regained their freedom to desist from crime and criminality so as not to find themselves back to the prisons.
At least this is one of the interventions that will help to decongest the prison and release those that don't supposed to be here. So I think he's doing a good job to humanity and to the entire justice system in Nigeria.
The Assistant Controller of Prisons in charge of Agwata prisons, Mr. Patrick Ubeni, assured quick discharge of the bailed inmates.
The inmates, they were very happy. He gave release to about 12 of them and 2 to go. Yes, 12 were given release and 2 to go entirely. Yes, they are leaving today if possible. But you know, he gave directive that we're going to take them to their homes. Yeah. So that is the delay. By Monday, we'll do that immediately. Okay. Yeah.
From Agwata prisons, I am Emmanuel Okonkwo, reporting for ABS News.
A 2-day review meeting on budget performance of ministries, departments, agencies, and local government areas has ended with a call for accountability, efficiency, and productivity in budget process and implementation in the state. The meeting, which took place at Anambra, Awka South local government area, was organized by the state government through the Ministry of Economic Planning, Budget, and Development partners in collaboration with UNICEF. Amaka Chibuzo-Koye reports.
The participants, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Economic Planning, Budget and Development Partners, Mr. Leo Imoka, said the budget performance appraisal is one of the mechanisms through which government assesses its performance in terms of capital budget and expenditure. The Permanent Secretary, represented by the Acting Director, Research and Planning, Mr. Ato Iwanya, said the workshop is an opportunity to build the capacity of the participants in enhancing their performances.
This workshop is an opportunity to enable the stakeholders from various ministries and local governments to build their capacity in order to enhance their performance of their mandate.
The head of UNICEF program in the ministry, Mrs. Ebele Ayaji, maintained that review meetings will enhance transparency and accountability in budget implementation in order to ensure quality performance, as well as engage the participants effectively on monitoring and evaluation of projects for effective budget performance.
The review meeting will create a room for all the donor agencies in the state to enhance transparency and accountability in budget implementation in order to ensure quality performance. The participants will be able to learn how to control operational expenditure of their budgets.
A resource person, Mr. Ucheaze, said most of the workers are not versatile with their designations and portfolios, hence the need for the workshop to enlighten and educate them.
Actually, this is supposed to be a review meeting where we invite people to come and present their report. But when I looked at it, most of them doesn't know what performance review is. So I felt it is better to do a workshop so that next time we'll ask them to bring a report on their work.
One of the participants, Comrade Chinyere Udebuna, representing the Local Government Service Commission, expressed optimism that at the end of the program, they will garner requisite knowledge that will enhance their performance and productivity.
I believe at the end that each and every participant will be able to gain more knowledge on budget performance and evaluation, which will help the state at great length.
From Amobia, Amaka Chibuzokoye, ABS News.
Practicing and non-practicing pharmacists in Anambra State under the aegis of Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, PSN, and Young Pharmacists Group, YPG, have taken an awareness march through the state capital to educate the public, especially the youth, on the immediate and remote dangers of illicit drug use. The pharmacists, who spiritedly trooped out to perform the work, said that in view of the reported dangers of drug abuse during elections, the exercise was also meant to teach the young people the need for abstinence. Correspondent Daniel Ezigwe was part of the exercise and now reports.
Awareness March, which kicked off at the Alex Ekweme Square, took the pharmacists through the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway down to Regina Chele Junction, through Obi Okoli Avenue, Opuno, and came to a halt at the Club Road Junction, Oka. The participants also held up placards with inscriptions reflective of the warnings of drug abuse, while flyers were also given out to passers-by and commuters to drive home the message. Discussing the essence of the occasion, the state chairman, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, pharmacist Patrick Obi, said that against the backdrop of perceived and recorded cases of illicit drug use amongst the youths, especially as the elections draw close, the group saw the advocacy as not just imperative but beneficial to all.
When they are influenced, under influence of these substances, they can do one thing or the other. And you know the outcome, you know what the outcome will be. So that is what we are targeting, especially now we are in the election period. The end action or end point will be to reduce, death associated with violence, election violence, occasioned by this illicit use of these drugs.
The convener of the exercise and senior special assistant to the governor on pharmaceutical matters, pharmacist Chibuzo Oka, said that the public must be made to understand the inherent dangers of drug abuse, not just to personal health development, but to the larger society.
We are here to say no to drug violence and any form of issues that have to deal with illicit drugs. No to any form of hard drugs that will lead you to sell your vote or to go and carry balls or to be a talk in this election. We are here standing united as one body. We have the youth groups, we have the other associations joining us here. We are here to channel our message to the general public. In this forthcoming election, you must avoid any form of drug use, as the election is for us and Nigeria is for all of us.
The Young Pharmacists Group's coordinator, Anambra State, Pharmacist Hilary too, spoke about the resultant benefits of the sensitization, adding that as a professional body, it was obligated of them to embark on such exercises of educating the populace on critical societal problems such as drug abuse.
This road work you see today is just part of the many programs. We do have physical meetings, we do have seminars and projects, we do have radio shows that are aired over some major radio channels where our main role is education and information of the populace.
In Oka, Daniel Ezigwe, ABS News.
The Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, has applauded the Institute for Media and Society, IMS, for maintaining strong human capacity relations with the establishment. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the ABS, Chief Uchenwara, made the commendation when the Program Consultant for Institute for Media and Society, Dr. Ifeoma Dunu, paid a courtesy call on the ABS corporate headquarters, Oka. Correspondent Daniel Ezekwe once again reports.
An associate professor of mass communication, Anambra University, Oka, was at the ABS to anchor a one-day media workshop on gathering and packaging news stories related to children, women, and people living with disabilities, sponsored by the European Union as part of its support for democratic governance in Nigeria. Commending the ABS for redefining its presence in digital broadcasting and online strength, the IMS consultant said that the selection of the establishment along few other media outlets for the training lent huge strategic benefits for the attainment of professional precision.
We have about 30 or more of his staff that we are going to benefit today from this program. The station has gone digital. The station is no longer restricted to terrestrial broadcasting, and it is not just ABS radio as we used to know it here. It is now ABS radio and television, and all the programs are being online. And in this capacity, I think that they are strategic for more capacity building and support from other agencies.
The ABS boss, Chief Nwora, described the training as a precious media opportunity for the staff of the organization and commended the IMS and the European Union for bridging the gap between professional media practice and human capacity development.
I want to also appreciate IMS. IMS, this organization has benefited, I think, in the past. Yes, we appreciate you. And also the EU, for funding and supporting this project. What is happening today in terms of the capacity building that if you will be leading today is very good. And I expressed the hope that in the future, IMS may consider also lending us support because now we're talking about media convergence, isn't it? And to see how our staff can benefit in the area of digital content development, and of course there are also other areas in life skills, teamwork, research skills.
In Oka, Daniel Ezekwe, ABS News.
The member representing Jikoka, Anocha, and Dunukofia Federal Constituency, Mr. Dozie Nwankwo, has flagged off his re-election campaign ahead of the February 16 polls. The campaign started at Afo and Nkwa Market Squares in Agolo, Anocha local government area. Correspondent Emmanuel Chibata reports.
Speaking at the campaign ground, the Apuga chairman, Anocha local government area, Barrister Ndubisi Obiade, stressed the party's readiness in making sure that Mr. Nwankwo, who has shown profound commitments and zeal in serving the people of Anocha, will be delivered. In a remark, a member of the State House of Assembly, Mr. Azubike Okoye, who stressed that Apuga remains the party for the Igbos, advised India and Anocha to avoid pitfalls, but to ensure landslide victory for Dozie Nwankwo in the forthcoming election.
You've done both stomach empowerment and open empowerment. So what will they never? Representative of government agro never. Before go say agro.
Responding, Mr. Nwankwo assured that if re-elected, he will focus on core areas in the 3 local government areas, which include sustainable youth empowerment, free healthcare services, even development, and as well touch lives of the less privileged.
It's not a 3,000 naira. The federal government is free of charge for 1 year.
Meanwhile, Mr. Nwankwo has been conferred with 4 honorary awards for his immense contributions to the development of Njikoka local government area. Emmanuel Chibata, ABS News.
The Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT, sitting in Abuja, has adjourned indefinitely further proceedings on the non-asset declaration charge the federal government filed against the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Walter Onoren. The Mr. Danladi Omar-led tribunal said his decision to suspend Justice Onowen's trial was based on the order of the Court of Appeal in Abuja. Mr. Omar ruled on, quote, that in view of the Court of Appeal order for stay of proceedings and out of respect for the Court of Appeal, the tribunal adjourned the matter indefinitely, pending the determination of the appeal before the Court of Appeal. End of quote. Only the CCT chairman and the third member of the panel, Mrs. Julie Amabo, attended the sitting. The second member of the panel, Mr. William Agwaze Ateze, was absent. It will be recalled that Mr. Ateze had only disagreed with the tribunal's chairman over the procedure adopted in trial of the suspended CJN. Ministers from 75 countries, including China and the US, launched talks towards drawing up global e-commerce rules amid growing calls for technology to be more closely regulated internationally. The talks were announced by the EU's top trade official, Cecilia Malmström, on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, and are to include the US and China, the world's biggest economies. Her statement said, on quote, electronic commerce is a reality in most corners of the world, so we owe it to our citizens and companies to provide a predictable, effective, and safe online environment for trade, end of quote. Another round of peace talks between the Taliban in Afghanistan and the US has been tentatively set for February 25. Taliban officials say American negotiators agreed on a draft peace pact setting out the withdrawal of foreign troops from Afghanistan within 18 months, potentially ending the US longest war. The draft deal was agreed after 6 days of talks in Qatar last week. It comes as the Taliban continues to stage near-daily attacks against the Western-backed Afghan government. However, the hardline Islamist group has reportedly given assurances it will not allow al-Qaeda and its militants to attack the US and its allies in Afghanistan. The Afghan President's office say US peace envoy Zalmay Khalilzad shared details of his recent talks with the Taliban in Qatar with President Ashraf Ghani and other government officials. Today's statement quotes Khalilzad as saying he held talks about a ceasefire with the Taliban, but that there was no progress yet on that issue. And on sports, Liverpool and Manchester City will resume their fight for Premier League supremacy in a midweek round of fixtures clouded by the suspected death of Cardiff striker Emiliano Sala. The Bluebirds are in action for the first time since the plane carrying the Argentine disappeared over the Channel Islands a week ago. The visit Arsenal in what could have been Salah's debut for the club. Signed from Nantes for a club record fee, struggling Cardiff hoped his goals could keep them in the Premier League. Now they must somehow try to achieve survival on the field while dealing with tragedy of it. A minute silence will be held before all Premier League games this week in honor of Salah and the plane's pilot, David Ibbotson, after the authorities called off their active search for the aircraft. And that's the size of our news package tonight. But remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging onto our website at www.absradiotv.com. Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/absradiotelevision. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at absradiotv. Now the main points again. More prison inmates have been pardoned by State Chief Judge Justice Umadi at Agwata prisons. Review meeting on budget performance has ended in Awka with emphasis on accountability, efficiency, and productivity. Code of Conduct Tribunal has suspended indefinitely CJN Onoyen's trial. And we also told you that U.S. Taliban peace talks is to continue with date fixed for February 25. Thanks for watching. I am Franklin Onyekachi. Do have a pleasant night rest.